feel like God done for real blessed me, for real.
That's true.
Like, he done took his time on me, like really blessed me, like gave me all the gifts that I can even imagine.
Right.
So I'm like, if I don't do my part, like to the fullest that I can do it, I'm talking about work hard,
Right.
like give it everything I got, I feel like I'm cheating him. I feel like I'm letting him down, like I'm cheating him. If I don't develop all the gifts he done given me into like elite skills and be one of the best, I'm cheating.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to Q's Hot Takes, and we got a loaded show today. So let's jump right into it, and let's not waste no time. So first, let's talk about the epic battle that number 8 USC had with unranked Colorado. So, as we know, USC went up big in this game. At one point, they were up 34-7 in the first half. Shador had the late touchdown at the end of the first half, a 25-yard run, and then in the second half, USC, they scored their 2 touchdowns, and towards the end of the third quarter, they were up 48-21. And Colorado gives them credit. They didn't quit. They didn't fold. They kept playing hard. They kept battling. They got it to 7 points. But my issue is, I love how they battled back. They looked a lot better in the second half than they did the first half. But when you cut it to 14, you got all the momentum. I'm still trying to understand why the offensive coordinator thought they had all day to score 2 touchdowns. Their one drive when they were down 14, their one drive to cut it to 7 took 5 minutes off the clock. In that situation, you want to take no more than 2 to 3 minutes, get some big chunk plays. He was running the ball like he had all day. I'm like, what are we doing here? I mean, I had turned the Colorado and USC game off, but I was, glancing at my phone from time to time, looking at the game. I had to switch Winston State to the TV because they started scaring me. We'll talk about them in a second when they blew their 14-point lead. So, yeah, that was very puzzling to me why he thought they had all day to score 2 touchdowns. You take up 5 minutes from one drive, and then you get the touchdown, and now you only got a minute to do it again. So their clock management was not great in that situation. I think they'll learn from this. And shout out to Amarian Miller. Oh my God. He almost had 200 yards Saturday. He had 7 catches for 196 yards. That's 28 yards per catch. So that's how much he was averaging per catch. It was just crazy. It's crazy they've been hiding him on the bench all these weeks. He probably could help him when Oregon, took him behind the cabin uh, the previous week and gave him a nice old whooping. It just makes you wonder why Dion hasn't played him until now, but now they have another bona fide guy who they can get the ball to. He's a playmaker. He makes big splash plays for them. And that's another thing that I didn't understand on that drive where they took 5 minutes just to get one of their 2 touchdowns. They needed to tie the game up. Why not use him on like some big pass plays, some big chunk plays? You got Jimmy Horn, you got Weaver, you got all these guys who can get you down the field, get you some big chunk plays. But they were moving like they had all day, and they were only down 7. So, like I said, they'll learn from this and they'll get better. I definitely expect them to bounce back at Arizona State this weekend. Arizona State, they're one of the worst teams in the Pac-12. But as we know, once you get the conference play, throw the records out. Everybody's going to play you tough for the most part. They gave USC trouble for the most part, but USC pulled away late. So this game will be 6:30 at 6:30 Saturday on the Pac-12 network. So I definitely expect Colorado to snap their modest 2-game losing streak and bounce back and win this weekend. So I'm looking forward to that. Shout out to Shador. He went toe to toe with Caleb Williams. He played much better in that second half. He had 371 yards, and he had 4 touchdowns. But what was hurting Colorado was Caleb Williams. He could have sat back there and just took his sweet time waiting for his receivers to get open. They could get absolutely no type of pressure on Caleb Williams. As soon as the ball was hiked, their linemen could not get any push against USC's line, and that's what's gonna, hold Colorado back this year from competing with the best teams in college football. If you don't have a good defensive line that can get pressure on the quarterback, you don't have a good secondary, you don't have a good offensive line, you're not going anywhere. Now they have the quarterback, they have the weapons on offense, but they need to fix that defense. They need to get bigger. They need to get some guys who can put some heat on the quarterback, and I think they need to get some corners. But shout out to Kamani McLean. He made some big plays Saturday. He finally got some reps after Dion had called him out saying he wasn't doing the bare minimum to do what he needed to get on the field. And I feel like that message got to Kamani because he got some reps on the field. He broke up a big touchdown pass in the end zone. So hopefully when Travis Hunter is able to return from his injury, um, that can be a scary 1-2 punch at a corner. So look forward to seeing that. And like I said, I expect them to bounce back on the road this weekend and kind of get things back rolling. They got this game, and I think they play Stanford next. So I think they got some games they should win fairly. I would say fairly easily, but you never know. They could, give Colorado a hard time just because Colorado doesn't have a good defense, and like I said, they're not able to put pressure on the quarterback. So we'll see if these games are a lot closer than they should be. Alrighty, guys. Now let's drop the intro for Ramily Only. And unfortunately, we got to talk about the epic collapse once State had Saturday. Buckle up. This is going to be brutal. Let's go ahead and drop that intro. 21, can you do something for me?
21, can you do something for me? 21.
What a tale of two halves in that game versus Lincoln, PA. In the first half, the way we were dominating for the majority of that first half had me thinking and saying, Winston State's football is back, to our dominant ways. We started off with Dalen Lee. First, I got nervous because he kind of muffled the ball, dropped it, and he hit R.J. Mobley for a sweet 2-yard slant to open up the scoring for Winston State. Then we blocked the punt, returned it all the way back to Lincoln, PA's 4-yard line. And then on 4th and 1 from the 1-yard line, Asa Barnes got in. I really like this call by Coach Massey because if you get it down to the 4-yard line, we should be able to score. Unfortunately, it took 4 attempts, but Lincoln, they were really big up front. They had some big dudes up front, so I'm not surprised that at times we kind of struggle running the ball. But I like that call, being aggressive. You're on the road. And then in the second quarter, Jaquan Stafford took a punt back for 95 yards to give Winston State the 21-7 lead. Man, I thought things were going so well at that point. But unfortunately, Winston State allowed a touchdown at the end of the first half. They gave Lincoln, I feel like, all the momentum. And I felt like that's when Winston State started to let go of the rope and started to lose their momentum. And things went downhill from there. All right. So Winston State in the second half, their first drive they went 3-and-out. It was very quick. On their second drive, the first play in, I don't know why. I guess it's because Dalen Lee is not used to being under center, and whenever he has been under center, it usually doesn't go well. So I'm assuming that's why we didn't do this. But if we're so far backed up, in our own territory, I would have put him on under center, made sure we had a clean snap, something. But trying to run play out of the shotgun when you're backed up in your own territory, I I don't think that's never going to work out well for you. Asa Barnes went backwards 4 yards into the end zone. It was a safety for Lincoln, and this was just the downward turn of how bad things were going to get in the second half for Winston State. Um, so on their third drive after that, Dalen Lee, they started heating him up on that third drive. They got some good hits on him. They sacked him twice, and then he had an incomplete pass. They had to punt again. Punt. Lincoln took the lead at the 12:09 mark of the fourth quarter. Winston State finally got their first down of the first half. If I remember correctly, it was right at about the 12-minute mark of the fourth quarter. So on that drive, Winston State was driving the ball. They were moving it really well. Dalen Lee gets sacked. Unfortunately, he loses the ball. Lincoln takes over. This is where I saw that Dalen Lee has something special about him. Winston State gets the ball back at the 5:15 mark. Dalen Lee drives us down the field. We take the lead at 102. He hits RJ Mobley on a sweet route. They have a deadly connection. RJ Mobley is one of the best receivers in Division Two. I don't care if conference, whatever, but he's one of the best receivers in Division Two. Honestly, what I would have done in this situation, I would have kept running the ball. I would have ran the clock down and taken off as much time as possible. And if you are going to do this pass, I would have left as little time as possible. Because if you look here, they left 102 left in the game. Um, I just feel like that was way too much time. The way our defense was having trouble slowing down Lincoln, especially the quarterback who had 400. He had 431 of their 451 yards on offense. He threw for 278 yards, and then he ran for 153 yards on the ground. He was their run game. It was so frustrating. We were getting the backfield, and we would sometimes we would run past him, and then other times we just can't get him on the ground, and he would have big gains. And I'm like, what are we doing here? We got to fix this, and we never did. Um, so that's why I would have ran the clock down a little more, left them probably less than 30 seconds, so they couldn't do anything. And unfortunately, they got a good return on the kickoff. They set up at Winston State's 39-yard line, and they broke our heart right at the end on fourth down. We had a good return by Lennon, but Winston State was unable to score once they got the ball back after Lincoln had taken the lead. And we dropped the game we should have won. It's just very disappointing. But looking at this, the gap of time that we didn't get a first down in that that second half until the fourth quarter. I mean, that's not good. We need to stop having these lulls on offense where we go so long without scoring. I mean, we got to fix this going into divisional play, starting with Livingstone Saturday. But we got to get our lick back because we just beat ourselves last year when we were at Livingstone. I think we turned it over 7, 8 times, something like that. It was utterly ridiculous. Disappointing we lost that game to them last year. Livingstone is coming off beating Bowie, who has been one of the more dominant teams in the CIAA the last 5 or 6 years. So they're coming in on a high note, on their high horse. But I think on defense, we got to continue to get pressure on their quarterback. And he's mobile like Isaiah Freeman was last week. So we got to have rush lane discipline. Basically, what that means is we cannot let their quarterback out the window and get these big runs like Isaiah Freeman got last week that extended drives, kept their offense on the field. They have a lot of speed at receivers, so I think the best way to neutralize that is, getting pressure on the quarterback. But I'm very confident in our secondary. We got a very deep, experienced secondary. I'm expecting Winston State to bounce back at home this week. I'm looking forward to it. I expect us to play ticked off, play angry. On the offensive side of the ball, continue to run the ball the way we've been running the ball. And I'm hoping Dalen Lee and the receivers, they can kind of keep getting things rolling, and he's getting better and better every game. And I just want us to not have such inconsistency on offense. Like we'll score, and then we may go 5 or 6 drives before we score again. Like I don't want it to be that long before we score again. So I'm hoping they can clean that up on offense and continue to get better and better, and we can put up more and more points. Because I would love if we could put 30 or 40 on Livingstone. That'd be lovely. So I'm definitely expecting us to bounce back this week. Dalen Lee, he just continues to blow me away, impress me every week. Um, and I'm just excited to see what he does this week to top off, last week's performance. Even though it was in a loss, that says a lot about a freshman quarterback. You had a fumble that gave the other team the ball, and then you're able to lead your team back down the field uh, at the end of the game, even though it didn't hold up, but still, he made some big time plays on that drive, and I just want to take my hats off to Dalen Lee because what he's doing is special. He's just a freshman, and it's only going to get better and better for us, man. So I'm looking forward to the game this weekend. Livingstone, 1 o'clock in Bowman Gray. So if you guys want to go out to the game this weekend, it's at 1 o'clock. We're at home. Can't make it out to the game this weekend. It'll be on the CIAA Sports Network, free, starting at 1 o'clock. Alrighty, so now let's get into talking about the NFL games for this week. Alrighty, so first, to kick off our NFL slate, let's talk about our Thursday night game. We got the Chicago Bears at the Washington Commanders. Give me the Commanders. The Bears are just a hot mess. Blowing a 21-point lead, starting at the end of the third quarter. Justin Fields had 2 turnovers in that fourth quarter that proved to be pretty costly. He had an interception at the end of the game, and he had a fumble that kind of helped Denver get their momentum and start making their comeback. I just can't trust the Bears. They've lost, I think it's 15 straight games now. It's been a whole calendar year since they've won a game. And I just think Washington's gonna have a little too much talent for them. And also considering Washington has one of the best defensive lines in the league, the Bears do not have a good offensive line. I think Justin Fields is gonna be under pressure all night long. And Washington, they can just rotate so many guys in on that defensive line. I think they're gonna give Justin Fields fits. I think he's gonna be running for his life all night. And I think the Bears are getting ready to lose their 16th straight game. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Commanders hang at least 25 on the Bears to extend that streak of them allowing 25 or more points. That defense is just atrocious. So if you have any of Washington's receivers or Sam Howell, start them because they're going to have a big day. Because the Bears, they're just a joke on defense. I'm just being honest with you. They'll play good for a little bit, and then like we saw Sunday, you allow 24 points in about a quarter. That's just ridiculous. That's unacceptable. Um, and the Bears, they had some puzzling decisions late in that game. They take a timeout. They were getting ready to go for it on fourth down. They take a timeout, give Denver a chance to set up their defense to, prepare for this fourth down. They don't get the fourth down. But I'm like, why waste his time out when you could have just went for it and probably gotten the first down? Like, they messed themselves up when they took the timeout and then still went for it on fourth down. So Bears are a mess. And I expect Washington to get a big win at home. So give me the Commanders here. Next week, we're going across the pond to London for our international series. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Buffalo Bills. I got the Bills in this game. Ever since that week one embarrassing loss, they've been on a demolition tour. They're just wrecking people, blowing people out. Their defense is getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. They're making things very hard for the opposing offenses. And Josh Allen, the way him and that offense are rolling right now, I just don't see them losing this week. And I can't trust Jacksonville when they go up against elite competition in the AFC. They always fold like a lawn chair. So until they can show me otherwise, I got to pick against them every time they go up against the best in the AFC. I hope I'm wrong here, but they choked against the Chiefs again, and I'm not confident that they can beat the Bills, even though Jacksonville's been going to be there. This will be their second week in London, but I just they always seem to come up small or short in those big time matchups against elite competition in the AFC. So give me Buffalo. I expect hopefully this will be a very close competitive game, and this will be a great way to start our Week 5 slate. This game will be at 9:30 on NFL Network. All right, next we got the Houston Texans at the Atlanta Falcons. Man, CJ Stroud is special. He's one of them ones, man, for real. He's breaking the quarterback curse that Ohio State quarterbacks had for the longest, where they just didn't pan out in the pros. They would put up these gaudy numbers at Ohio State, and then they would come to the pros, and they just haven't been great. But CJ Stroud, what he's doing is special. And he's the reason why I'm going to pick the Texans to keep this momentum going, keep it rolling, and go on the road into Atlanta and get a big time victory. The Texans know they're going to slow down Bijan Robinson, who's just a matchup nightmare in space. He makes defenders look silly. And Desmond Ritter, he looked like he started to figure things out with Drake London. You just have to put the ball anywhere near Drake London and he'll go get it. Um, I don't know for whatever reason he hasn't got that connection with Kyle Pitts. I don't know what the issue is. Kyle Pitts is the same way. You just put the ball anywhere near him and he'll go get it. But their backup tight end, I think his name is Jonah Smith, has been getting more targets than Pitts, and that's just puzzling to me when you have somebody like Pitts. So we'll have to see if they ship Pitts, but he's just too talented of a player. I'd be shocked if they do. So that's something we'll have to keep eye on. So give me the Texans in this matchup. The way CJ Stroud has been playing, I just can't pick against it right now. D'Amico Ryans look like he's starting to build something special in Houston, and I can't wait to see them continue this role. All right, next we got the Carolina Panthers at the Detroit Lions. Man, the Panthers are struggling right now. It's hard to see this, especially Bryce Young. He's one of the best rookie quarterbacks in the league. I know he's not showing it right now, but once they get him some weapons, some help, some offensive line help, I think Bryce Young is going to silence a lot of critics, a lot of doubters who kind of are writing them off after this slow start. But I think Detroit's just going to be a little too much for them. Uh, I think their defense will probably keep it close. But I just don't know if the Panthers will be able to score enough to win this game on the road. So I expect Detroit to come off a big win on Thursday Night Football at the Green Bay Packers, their rival. I think they want to continue that momentum at home. Because after they got a big win against Kansas City, they came home and kind of had a letdown. So I think they want to show that they can handle success and get a big win at home. I wouldn't be surprised if they lean on David Montgomery late, have him wear down that Panthers defense and kind of seal this victory for them. Because I expect it to be close. Because the Panthers have a good defense that's going to keep them in almost every game, just about. But I got Detroit winning at home. The Panthers have too many questions, and I just can't trust them right now. So it's just tough right now. But I'm definitely expect Bryce Young to keep trying. Keep trying to figure things out. But I think Adam Thielen as your number one receiver, he's playing great, but that's not a guy you want as your number one receiver, especially at his age. So maybe they call the Raiders and see what they can get for Devontae Adams. I don't know if you want to come to Charlotte and play with a rookie quarterback and Bryce Young, but they need a receiver like that because they just don't have anybody that can separate from the defenders, the corners, and that's hurting Bryce Young. And yeah, I just got to take Detroit because the Panthers just have too many questions on offense, and I don't know what I'm gonna get from their offense. So I got to take Detroit at home, and I think they're gonna have a hard time blocking Aiden Hutchinson. I think he's gonna get Bryce Young 2 or 3 times with how bad that offensive line is. So give me the Detroit Lions in this matchup. All right, next we got the New York Giants at the Miami Dolphins. Ooh, ooh boy. I expect this one to get ugly and hairy. The Giants do not tackle well on defense, and that's not something you want to have going up against this Miami track team of offense. I think this one's going to get ugly fast. The Giants can't protect Daniel Jones. They gave up 11 sacks Monday. In the game, I turned off very quickly because I just saw how ugly it was going to get. I expect the Dolphins to bounce back because they took a humbling loss last week at Buffalo. Based off what Tua was saying at his press conference, it makes me wonder if some of his teammates were kind of a little too high on themselves, smelling themselves, after they had such a hot start and they weren't preparing the same, practicing the same. So, he was saying the loss is good for some people in the building. So that made me, when I heard that, I'm like, with some people on this team starting to get the big head, it makes you wonder. But I expect the Dolphins to bounce back big at home. Uh, this is just a horrible matchup for the Giants. Now, the Giants do have a defensive line who can really get after the quarterback, put pressure on the quarterback. That's really going to be their only chance because they don't have the weapons in their secondary to match up with this track team the Dolphins have. So that's why I think this one's going to get ugly fast. So give me the Dolphins big here. All right, next we got the Tennessee Titans at the Indianapolis Colts. Tennessee's too up and down for me. One week they look like they need to move on from Ryan Tannehill, and they're going to be picking top 5 in the draft. And then the next week they'll look, really good. So they're too up and down for me. I don't know what Tennessee team is going to show up because they went from only scoring 3 points against the Browns to holding the Bengals to 3 points. So it makes me wonder, what team is going to show up in this divisional matchup. So that's why I got to take the Colts. I think their Colts defense is going to help lead them to this victory. I think they're going to get a lot of pressure on Ryan Tannehill, who's not very good. And I think they're going to cause him to make some mistakes. And I think Anthony Richardson will get a big divisional win at home. So yeah, give me the Colts here. I ain't gonna spend too much time on this because the Titans are just too up and down, and Ryan Tannehill, I'm never sold on him because he's too inconsistent. So give me the Colts here at home. Next, we got the New Orleans Saints at the New England Patriots. I got to take the Saints here. The Patriots are really banged up. They're going to be missing some key guys, especially on defense. Their offense is really bad, and I think they're going to struggle against uh, a Saints defense who can really get after the quarterback. I expect them to be in a foul mood after Baker Mayfield and the Bucks just marched the ball up and down the field on them. Their offense didn't do much, so I expect their offense to want to do a lot better. We'll have to see how many players the Patriots can get back this week. But without knowing that information here on a Wednesday, I got to take the Saints to bounce back on the road. I'm just not very sold on Mac Jones, and I think Cameron Jordan and that defense, they're going to get a lot of pressure on him, force him into some mistakes, and I expect the Saints to win an ugly, ugly game on the road at New England. Next, we have probably the greatest rivalry in the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers, they're a mess on offense, and on defense, they're also a mess, especially in the secondary. I expect Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers to have big days. I gotta take Baltimore. I'm not picking Mitchell Trubisky to beat Lamar Jackson with how bad that Steelers offense is right now. I think Lamar is going to go into Pittsburgh and get a big time rivalry win over his rival in an ugly, probably low scoring game. I wouldn't be surprised if both teams don't score 20 points. I think that this is going to be one of those ugly, classic AFC North defensive struggles because the Steelers know their defense is going to have to keep them in the game with Mitchell Trubisky starting because he's not going to put a lot of points on the board. But I got the Ravens finding a way to win, and I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Tucker walks it off here. All right, next we got the Philadelphia Eagles at the Los Angeles Rams. Man, this is going to be a great, great game. But I'm gonna take the Eagles here. I expect their defense to get a lot of pressure on Matthew Stafford against the offensive line that's not very good. And with how deep the Eagles are on the defensive line, I think they're going to cause Matthew Stafford a lot of problems. Cooper Kupp is supposed to make his return this week. He's destined to return from the IR. We'll see what kind of impact he can have for their offense. But I just think the Eagles' pressure that they're going to put on Matthew Stafford is going to be the difference in this ball game. And we also know that the Eagles, even if their passing game isn't clicking, they can take 8 minutes off the clock like it's nothing with their run game. So I can't wait to see Aaron Donald against this offense, the Eagles' offensive line, who I would say they have the best offensive line in the league. So just watching Aaron Donald go up against some of the best linemen in the league, it's going to be very fun to watch that matchup in the trenches. But I got the Eagles winning a very close, competitive game. Um, I don't know who in the Rams secondary is going to guard AJ Brown or Devontae Smith. So that's a big reason why I'm going to take the Eagles and just their defense. I think they're going to be a little too much for the Rams offense. So give me the Eagles in this matchup. Next, we have the Cincinnati Bengals at the Arizona Cardinals. Man, I was not expecting the Bengals to get washed like they did last week at the Tennessee Titans. They have a lot of issues. Their offensive line is not very good. Joe Burrow is saying this is the best he's felt, since the calf injury. But the Bengals are just desperate for a win. They need to find a way to win this game against a Arizona team who they're gonna play hard, they're gonna compete, but the Bengals just have too much talent not to win this game on the road. So I'm gonna pick the Bengals and Joe Burrow. I trust. I expect them to find a way to win this game when their backs against the wall. They can't afford to go to 1-4. So I expect the Bengals to win a ugly ball game, probably with the way things have been going for the offense. They haven't scored a first half touchdown. I'm just really concerned about their offense. But I expect them to find a way to win at the Cardinals. If they can't beat the Cardinals, then they need to just go ahead and shut Joe Burrow down. Honestly, so give me the Bengals here. I don't know how, but I expect them to find a way to win at home. I mean, win on the road. Excuse me. Next, we have the New York Jets at the Denver Broncos. Man, this was another one I was going back and forth on. I wanted to pick the Jets so bad, but I haven't seen Zach Wilson play like he did this past Sunday against the Chiefs, or when he beat the Bills, upset them on Monday Night Football. I mean, yes, Monday Night Football. Zach Wilson plays great in 8-20 games, but other than that, I haven't seen him, be consistent with his play. Um, so that's why I got to take the Broncos at home. They responded nicely after getting a 70-piece put on their head. Um, they found a way to bounce back and, storm back on the Bears last week and went on the road. That was huge. I'm expecting them to carry this momentum at home. And this is going to be a very ugly, low scoring game because the Jets know that their defense, they got to keep them in the game. They got to limit Denver's possessions. They got to keep Denver out the end zone. Um, and can Zach Wilson follow up on what he did last week? He was fitting the ball in some tight windows. I feel like their running game did a pretty good job. He was able to play action off of that, and he was getting the ball out of his hands quickly. He wasn't holding it too long, and he was just getting into his weapons and letting them work. So, but I haven't seen him do it on a consistent basis where I can pick his team to win this game. So I got to go with the Broncos at home to win a very ugly, low-scoring game. Um, I think Russell Wilson, I think he'll find a way to win this matchup against a very talented and tough Jets defense who's going to give him a hard time. But I got the Broncos winning at home. All right, next we got the Kansas City Chiefs at the Minnesota Vikings. Man, I expect this to be a high scoring shootout. Two explosive offenses. Um, but in the end, I trust Patrick Mahomes to find a way to win a close game on the road. I just think this is going to be a high scoring game. I think we're going to see a lot of points, a lot of offense. Um, I think with the weapons that the Vikings have on offense, I think they're going to be able to move the ball up and down the field on the Chiefs. The Vikings will have to find a way to slow down Chris Jones from getting to Kirk Cousins. But I think Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, I think they're going to have a big day. I think Kelsey, and we'll have to see who comes along to help him in the passing game. And then Pacheco, can he have another big game on the ground like he did Sunday night against the Jets? So we just have to see. Uh, I'm expecting, like I said, this to be a very close, competitive game. But in the end, like when I expect this to be a close game, I gotta take the better quarterback in this situation, and that's Patrick Mahomes. He always finds a way to win. Now, I am concerned about his tackles because his tackles, especially Taylor, because Taylor has some horrible penalties at the worst times, and I think they overpaid for him, and I think they're regretting that decision. I think they need to find some tackles. I don't think they'll find them this year, so they may just have to try to survive. Hopefully, Patrick Mahomes doesn't take a big hit because of how bad his tackles are. But that is a concern. So watch for the Vikings maybe to send Pace on a blitz or somebody like that. Knowing these tackles aren't very good and maybe get things confused for them where they let somebody into the backfield to hit Patrick Mahomes. So that's something to watch, the Chiefs tackles and seeing if they take away any big plays like they did last week for the Chiefs. But regardless, I still got the Chiefs to win this game. All right, here we go. This is going to be the big one of this week 5. We got the Dallas Cowboys at the San Francisco 49ers. Man, I know the Cowboys are going to be very motivated to win this game this week. The 49ers have ended their season 2 years in a row. Dak Prescott has not played well in either matchup. And for that reason alone, I expect Dak to play one of the best games of his career. The key for the Cowboys is they got to hold up against that very ferocious front of the 49ers. That front seven is very good. But if you can get past that front, I think you can have fun with their secondary and you can pick them apart. So the biggest thing for Dak is not to force it to CD, trust his reads, spread the ball out to all his weapons, Ferguson, Cook, Turpin, Tolbert, Gallup, just not CD, because I'm pretty sure Kyle Shanahan and Steve Wilkes, I'm pretty sure they'll try to take away CD. Um, and then using Pollard out the backfield, that gave them trouble last year. Pollard had some big plays last year. And then for the 49ers, the Cowboys, they're going to have to find a way to slow down Christian McCaffrey, who's looking like he should be a candidate for the MVP. He had 4 touchdowns last week, and he was just special. Who covers him for the Cowboys? I don't know, but they need to find somebody to deal with him, and they need to stay disciplined when the 49ers, try to run the ball. Make sure guys don't get out of their lanes, stay disciplined, make sure the 49ers don't get those big runs on the Cowboys. Michael Parsons, he just needs to be special, be disruptive, and find a way to heat up Brock Purdy, him and that defensive line. I think the Cowboys need to get a turnover or two in this game against the 49ers. I think that will really swing the momentum. The 49ers really don't make a lot of mistakes. So getting a turnover or two will really help them. I think the Cowboys have to, and I mean have to, every time they get down in the red zone, they have to cash in. No field goals, touchdowns. Gilmore, he's going to have to do a good job of slowing down our nuke, who's going to be a problem. But um, I'm thinking Bland is going to take a touchdown, but he's going to get an interception. He's going to take one back to the house this week against Brock Purdy because Brock Purdy will make some risky throws, and I think Bland's going to get him at least one time, and he's going to take it back to the house. Um, so I got the Cowboys winning this game. I don't know if that's the fan in me picking this or what, but I think this is the chance to make a statement. The Cowboys, they'll beat up on the bad teams, but this is your chance to show that you can beat one of the best teams in the NFL, who's ended your season twice, the last 2 years. Dak Prescott, you owe your team. I need you to play the best game of your life, making smart decisions, not throwing careless interceptions, forcing the ball in places that it doesn't need to go when you got a guys who are open. I expect Brandon Cooks to have his breakout game. I wouldn't be surprised if he has 100-yard game here because he hasn't had that big breakout game yet. But I think this may be the game against the 49ers secondary. Um, but I think, like I said, once again, I think the keys are the Cowboys need to heat up Brock Purdy, put some pressure on him, speed him up. Hopefully, he'll make a mistake or two. Run the ball, have good balance, no turnovers, finish when you get in the red zone. And I think tackling is the biggest thing against the 49ers, especially Deebo Samuels, because he'll get a little short pass, and because of missed tackles, poor angles, he'll convert into a big play or a touchdown. So the Cowboys need to tackle well. They need to all flow to the ball, 11 hats to the ball, be very physical. So I got the Cowboys winning and snapping the 49ers 14-game winning streak. And to close out the show, we got the Green Bay Packers at the Las Vegas Raiders. Give me the Packers. The Raiders are a mess. They're really bad, especially on defense. I think Jordan Love will be able to bounce back after I would say, a very disappointing outing against the Detroit Lions, your divisional rival at home. Making that many mistakes, looking that bad at home in front of your home supporters. I'm expecting the Green Bay Packers to get back on track, get rolling again this week. So I got the Packers winning this game. Alrighty, guys, that does it for this episode of Keeps Hot Takes. I want to thank you all for your support. It means the world to me. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this with your family, friends, and everybody to help us get those views up as much as possible. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys again next week for a Week 6 preview show. Until then, peace.